NASA engineers have designed and built some amazing telescopes, satellites, and space probes, looking out to the far regions of the Milky Way and the universe. But some of the most important things they monitor are right here. Looking back at us from space, NASA's Earth Observing System is helping to preserve our world's natural resources. NASA's Earth Observing System plays an important role in the recovery efforts of a vital ecosystem, the Chesapeake Bay. The Chesapeake is an estuary, a partially enclosed body of water where fresh water mixes with the salt water of the sea. The Chesapeake Bay is the largest estuary in the U.S., stretching more than 300 kilometers from the top of Maryland to the Atlantic Ocean in Virginia. It holds about 57 trillion liters of water and is the home of more than 3,600 species of wildlife. But human impact has changed the bay, and it isn't as healthy as it once was. 4 centuries of population growth have crippled the bay, harming water quality and threatening the species that rely on clean water for survival. About half of the water in the Chesapeake Bay comes from the Atlantic Ocean. The other half drains into the bay from its enormous watershed, a 165,000 square kilometer area that covers parts of 6 states.
Let's explore how this ecosystem reflects the fragile balance between humans and their environment. The Chesapeake Bay was once famous for its incredible supply of delicious oysters, which provided livelihoods for watermen and were the reason there were thousands of boats oystering in the bay. Oysters were once so numerous that they were a hazard to navigation, and they provided gigantic catches. The canning industry supplied jobs and food and mountains of oyster shells. But oyster numbers have plummeted, rendering these mountains of oysters mere tales and photographs from history. The collapse of the oyster has been further exacerbated by disease, which now impedes oyster recovery in spite of restoration efforts. This is a tragedy, not just economically and socially for the watermen, but also for the ecosystem. So many plants and animals rely on oyster beds as habitat. We have lost the oysters, and the species that relied on them are suffering too. The living organisms in the Chesapeake Bay are connected in an intricate and integrated web with dynamic properties. Human actions, historically and recent, have upset the balance of the bay. Many of the marine animals that once roamed Chesapeake Bay, such as gray whales, dolphins, manatees, river otters, sea turtles, giant sturgeons, sharks and rays, and oysters, have been drastically reduced or eliminated. Can we restore these populations as we have done for the striped bass? Can we turn back the clock? What will it take to restore the bay so that it again teems with life? Imagine the attraction the Chesapeake Bay could be.